Europe may be a little bit further forward in terms of where we sit vis-a-vis vaccinations, but nevertheless, governments continue to ramp up their efforts to control the virus. The French President, Emmanuel Macron, basically taking a very strong stance against the unvaccinated, taking it a notch higher than many people would have anticipated, talking about the fact that the unvaccinated were a significant target for him. He used some quite strong language in La Parisienne a couple of days back, which has got mixed reviews in France. Italy is now going to require vaccines for everybody over the age of 50s. Other countries taking similar measures. Let's deal with the details of what is happening here. Bloomberg's David Merritt joining us now. David, Europe is continuing to ramp up its efforts to persuade people or force people to get vaccinated.
Yes, so that's the key distinction there, isn't it? Is it persuasion or is it forcing them? And you talked about President Macron's comments made yesterday. It's caused a real storm in France. The strength of those comments, very divisive. You know, there are many people who still don't want to get vaccinated in France. And what he's doing here, just months before the presidential election, is turning it into a really political issue. And of course, his opponents in that election jumping on those comments, saying that it's not up to him to decide who's good or bad, and really putting that wedge in society. So it's that politicization of this of the vaccination drive that is ratcheting up the tensions again. You know, we've seen protests, of course, against restrictions across the continent, and very strict measures now being proposed in France. You're not going to be able to do very much at all. You're not going to be able to go to a restaurant, even take public transport. You're really going to be shut in your house, unable to do any social activities unless you've got a vaccine pass. So this is the sort of extreme measures that Europe's got to take, because these Omicron numbers are surging so dramatically now across the whole of Europe.
Well, it's in some ways even more intense over in Italy, right? Like, not only can you not go to work, can you pretty much not do anything if you're not vaccinated, but now you're going to be fined. Do we think that's really going to work?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, is it going to work? I mean, the numbers are surging across the board. We had more than 1 million across the whole of Europe on Wednesday recorded for the first time ever. The numbers in France really keep going up exponentially, kind of in spite of any of these measures. You know, we've had fairly strict restrictions in Italy on needing a vaccination to go into a workplace for several months now, and yet we're seeing it going down the same path. Omicron seems to have changed the game significantly in terms of really being able to get through all of these restrictions everywhere. So as this falls out and as this occurs over the coming weeks, if there isn't much of a difference between whether you've got these restrictions or not, then questions are going to be asked these politicians why they're putting their societies through these sorts of measures if the outcomes are essentially going to be the same.